All right. Good afternoon. It's evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to, what is this? INST 5035. I'm Jeff Bixby. I'm joined by,
I'm Hannah Baber.
And I'm Elizabeth Garza.
and this is our introduction elevator speech video. And so what we are going to do is take turns presenting our elevator speeches and offer some follow-up questions, have a little bit of a discussion, and that will probably be it. So I think just for starters, I think one of the things I took away from just making sure I understood what the assignment was about is just the significance of this elevator speech to promote yourself, right? To highlight what it is that you have to offer relative to what it is that you're hoping to achieve, and being very, I guess, targeted with the limited amount of time that you have, right? And so I don't know how all of you approach this, but for my speech, I took a lot of what I usually put in my cover letter, like that first paragraph, to really, get people's attention. Like that was more or less the foundation for what I'm about to deliver to you. So, are you ready?
Yes, very
Absolutely.
ready.
Okay. So here we go. Here's my elevator speech. Hi, my name is Jeff Bixby, and I currently work as a social studies learning specialist at UT High School. I'm looking for an opportunity to leverage my 17 years in education as a classroom instructor, instructional coach, and curriculum designer to transition to a career in instructional design supporting adult learners. My experience and background in learning theories has equipped me with the knowledge and skills to create learning experiences that promote engagement and retention. I am eager to bring this expertise to an organization that prides itself on designing training materials to support campus stakeholders as service-oriented problem solvers, fulfilling the mission of the University of Texas.
Very good. If now's the time for follow-up
It
questions,
is now the time for
I
follow-up
I have a
questions.
follow-up question. So you say you're a learning specialist.
Right. That's a
Uh,
fancy, like,
so but you work with kids now. How does that transfer over into like adult learners?
so I think there are some, and this is why I reference the learning theories component in my elevator
Mhm.
speech, is that there are certain learning theories that are applicable to both children and adults. If you're talking about how information is processed and memories are formed, like those are pretty consistently applied to adults and children. I mean, it's a good question, right? So I should be prepared to answer it. I think, as regardless of the age of the learner, there are some sort of basic foundational things that you do. Like you always have learning objectives, right? You're tying whatever content that you're communicating to a specific like objective, right? You want to be able to have some evidence of learning at the end of the instruction, right? And that's really only sort of illustrated if you have those upfront learning objectives.
Yeah, maybe a way you could word that if that question does come up.
Yeah.
And I only say this because my undergrad, one of my concentration is human development, family studies, and working in adult learning now,
Yeah.
people ask me that question. And so understanding kind of like what you said, you could word it like understanding the fundamentals of how children learn is easily applicable. I think we all have experiences where our coworkers maybe feel more like our high school classmates than they do coworkers.
That's for sure.
uh and so that kind of relates to the person asking that question, but so they can draw their own conclusions instead of narrowing yourself into a box of it is like this because this. You're showing that you understand that bridge, but you're right, it is kind of hard to articulate that. So if you let them fill in that gap with something they can relate to, I think maybe that could answer that question for
Yeah.
yourself.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Why social studies?
That's it. I mean, when I went to college, that was what my degree was in. It was in history. And so when it came time to start my career, that's where I naturally gravitated to. And so I've taught almost every high school level social studies class there is, except for a small handful. So where I work right now, UT High School is an online high school, so that presents its own unique challenges, but
That was my next question.
yeah.
UT High School. So I was like, where is that located?
It's everywhere. It's wherever the internet is accessible.
Yeah, that's
Right?
good.
So we have students obviously all throughout Texas, but all throughout this country and also other countries. I've got a student in Ethiopia, one in Ecuador that I've worked with, and it's a really interesting experience
Yes.
when you can get them to engage, right? So
Right.
some of the same challenges you have with in-person teaching, I also have. It's just maybe intensified.
I did 2 years virtual. That's what I was asking because I did 2 years virtual during the COVID, like that end of the school year, and then the following year, and then another 6 months because I was working for a charter. So yeah, and I was doing kindergarten.
Oof.
So that was like interesting and a
I
little
don't
bit
know
of
if
everything.
interesting is the word I would use for it, but
It was interesting for me as a teacher just to keep
oh,
them engaged and the kind of conversations you would hear around and the attacks you get from people when they know you teach online. Not everybody receives it the same way, no matter the age of the student. As a teacher, like you don't get everything positive coming
Mhm.
from the people around you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I think this is a good discussion, but since we do have a 10-minute time limit,
oh,
can I move on
let's
to
go.
mine?
Yes.
Just if we're done with that discussion,
Yeah.
just
yes, go.
to hit the time limit. So my elevator speech, I kind of phrased it more as if within my own company, I recently moved jobs. So I'm not looking to pitch myself to a new job, but maybe within my own company or within my own industry, kind of using my skill sets to help maybe a different department or help someone else with their work with my skills. So hello, my name is Hannah Baber, and I'm a training department admin at a pharmaceutical company. I have experience with managing, updating, and quality checking documentations of various trainings. This not only ensures the company is able to pass audits, but it also ensures the safety of customers and employees. I have a passion for people and provide a person-centered approach to problem solving. Training is only as good as how effectively it impacts the audience, and with my understanding of both the human element of training as well as technical requirements of training documentation, I bring a unique perspective to any training team within my own organization while explaining good documentation practices to coworkers who will later have to submit their training paperwork to me. I'm able to explain the reasons behind the requirements in a way that they remember, so all the paperwork will meet organizational standards. I would love to be able to assist with any of the documentation, organization, or management needs, so please reach out to me to utilize my experience.
So there a couple of things stood out to me when listening to you is like you provide like a rationale for what it is that you do, why it's important, right? It's not just that you're trying to pass some sort of audit, but you're more broadly speaking, you're trying to protect the safety of customers and employees. And so I think that is a powerful statement within this speech. The only thing I'm curious about is whether or not you think that you feel like you're repeating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the part where you're talking about within my organization, explaining good documentation practices to coworkers. I feel like in a sense that you've already kind of said that in the
Mm-hmm.
earlier part of your speech, and I don't know how much it does to you know make
Yeah.
your elevator
Yeah, I
speech.
can definitely see that. I think maybe that could be condensed into one because I want to give the example, but maybe I don't have to restate the whole thing.
Yeah.
I can just kind of smush it into like one sentence or a sentence and a half or something. Yeah. Any other
And
questions?
uh, I'm sorry, I got kind of lost. Like, so you're training people inside the company, like coworkers.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that was like where I kind of like I'm reading, but I'm also like listening to what you're saying,
hmm
and that was one thing that got me confused. So it is only coworkers.
Yes, yeah. I'm internal training at a corporate pharmaceutical company.
Okay, okay,
I'm actually, I don't do a ton of the training. I'm the training admin. So I work with a lot of the paperwork. It does actually have a training element because paperwork comes to me wrong all the time. And then I have to
okay.
You
go
have to teach
reach
people how
out
to
to that
do it.
person and be like, no, I have to have all three signatures. I did that today with a first aid training. They didn't get the supervisor's signature. And I was like, well, I can't put any of these into our LMS.
Yeah, well, and
Because
maybe that's a very simple edit is like you just emphasize this is internal training.
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback.
All right, Elizabeth, no pressure.
Okay,
8.5 minutes.
so mine is very simple. This is just a conversation that I always have with people that I meet. I mean, what do you do? Like, okay, so here I go. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Garza. I work for Hancock Elementary in Pasadena ISD, and I will be a new third grade dual language teacher and a team lead. My position includes teaching reading language arts, science, and social studies in English. I have been in the education setting for the last 15 years, beginning with being a paraprofessional and then a teacher. I have a business degree with concentration in legal studies, a master's in education leadership, and I am working towards my doctoral degree in STEM. My certifications include EC through 6, ESL in Spanish. I'm bilingual. So one of my goals is to start my own preschool in the near future.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so here's my first question. What would you say is you list all of these subjects that you have experience teaching. So how would you articulate like the benefit of that? Instead of having just like a laundry list, like what does that allow you to do versus somebody that only teaches one subject?
I think in my situation, and I put I'm stressing new third grade dual language teacher because I've done kinder, I've done first, I've done second, I've done fourth, I've done high school, but focusing on the elementary part of education, like third grade is my new thing. And I know it's for me, it's easy to go back and tell the kids, oh yes, you learned like the letter I is capitalized. So that was the first sight word in kinder. Like you're important, it needs to be capital. So it helps to have that experience to remind the kids. Like this is
Um,
something you learned in this grade level. So
I don't know, Hannah, if you're familiar with this, but like from a teacher perspective, like being familiar with like what certain grade levels are supposed to know relative to what they are have already learned, that's
right.
vertical alignment. And
Hmm.
so I think Elizabeth, like that would be something like really that would catch somebody's attention, like you making that reference.
That verbiage,
Yeah, that
the
that
vertical alignment. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
with your experience having taught all these different grade levels, you have an understanding of vertically aligned curriculum that somebody that has only taught one grade level
One
doesn't.
grade level.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Okay.
kind of piggybacking off of that, I think that could be really useful for if imagine you're pitching this to the parent of a prospective student at your own preschool that you're going to have one day. So talking about how like really focusing on your target audience with this being like either another teacher that you're looking to hire at your preschool or a parent of a prospective student, and I
Why
think
should
you
they
can
send their
really,
kids to your school?
yeah, exactly. And like the things you've listed, I think can really, really mean a lot to a parent if with kind of the other stuff that you mentioned just a minute ago about like why this is important. Like it's
Bye.
obviously very impressive to see it listed out, but like what does that mean to your student, you know?
Right. Okay. Got it.
But overall, I
Tweak
Yeah.
it.
I found all of our elevator speeches were just great.
Yeah. Good
I
job, y'all.
agree. I agree.
Well, I guess on that note, since we have less than 5 minutes left on the Zoom, this is a good opportunity to wrap up. So thank you to all of you for joining me this evening, and everybody that's watching this, hopefully you also got something out of it. So see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Adios.
Adios. All right, how do I stop? There we go. Stop.